What's going on YouTube? So 2022 is going to be a big year for Honda SUVs, and that starts with this, the all-new 2023 Honda HR-V. This is their smallest SUV, but it's getting a big dose of maturity for this new generation, as well as actually growing longer and wider physically. Honda invited us up to Detroit today to take a first look at this all-new product, including the interior, which is being shown off for the first time. So is this all-new HR-V bigger and better than ever before? Let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's get things started here with the exterior designs. So a lot of vehicles in this subcompact crossover segment tend to go for kind of odd and funky designs, but actually this all-new HR-V has kind of gone the opposite direction. It's gone for a much more mature and sophisticated look than what most of its peers in this category are offering. Now, beside me, to my right, I have the HR-V Sport trim level. To my left, I have the HR-V EXL trim level. That's going to be the top trim level for the all-new model. And then you have the LX trim level at the base end. So you've got the 3 trim levels for the new model. Now, most of the design is going to be the same between the two of them. If you look closely, a big difference between the Sport and the fully loaded EXL is going to be the finish on the grille. We have a little bit of a different texture here. This is going to be a matte black finish, and that is going to be finished in gloss all throughout this part, as well as the lower body elements. Now, taking a look at the grille itself over here on the Sport model, it does have a nice simple shape like I was mentioning. The bottom is going to have a simple shape as well. And then when we look at the headlights, they've gone for a very premium look. You're actually going to have full LED headlights standard across all 3 trim levels, so that's a nice touch. You've got the LED reflector style for your low and high beams. You have the daytime running light and a very bright LED turn signal indicator, again, for a very nice and sophisticated look. Now, as we come around to the side of the new HR-V, we do have several different wheel choices you can pick between, depending on your trim level. You're going to have 17-inch alloy wheels with the LX, as well as this EXL. This one has the special shark gray contrast finish. However, one of the nice things about going for the Sport trim level is this actually has the largest wheels of the lineup. This is going to be an 18-inch full gloss black alloy, which I think looks very nice in contrast with this overall design. Matched with that, we do also have a black finish for the mirrors here on the Sport, and we now have standard blind spot monitoring on all 3 trim levels. That's actually the first time that is available on the HR-V, because previously it did have that lane watch camera system, which looked, I believe, the right side. But now we have this regular blind spot monitoring, which I think most people prefer.
All right, guys, let's talk about the side design of this all-new Honda HR-V. Now, there's actually quite a bit to talk about here. As you can tell, it looks a lot different than the previous generation, and that's because it is a lot different than the previous generation. This is riding on their new global platform, and it's the same platform that underpins the Honda Civic. It's not necessarily based on the Honda Civic, it is just the underpinning from that. Now, as far as the overall length, you're looking at an increase of 8.7 inches for this all-new model, bringing the total to 179.8 inches in overall length. Now, as far as other things to mention back here, you will notice that we have the full 4-door setup. If you remember the older HR-V, we do have full 4 doors, but you had that handle up here is more of like a coupe-like design. This is going to be a more traditional, just SUV-like look. It's more mature, pretty much like the rest of the vehicle. Also, I want to point out, Drew did fail to mention throughout here, this is going to be a matte black plastic for all of your wheel arches, as well as the rear design for the LX and Sport trim levels. For the EXL, it is going to be a gloss black finish. But guys, let's walk around to the rear design of the HR-V. Once again, I'm really thoroughly impressed looking at this in person. I've seen all the pictures, and this is, of course, the first time that we've seen it in person. I really, really like the overall look. Once again, not to beat a dead horse here, but Honda has really gone with a more mature look for this HR-V, so this certainly is going to have a more grown-up look than the previous version, which was a lot more sporty. This is just nice looking. So let's go ahead and break down some of the elements that make up that overall design. So up top, I do want to point out you're going to have this little spoiler area that gives it a nice sporty look. It is going to be blacked out for the sport model. I can see over there on the EXL it is going to be body color. This is your rear wiper. It is not hidden, but I'm glad that we do have one. And then as far as the taillights, these are my favorite element about the rear design of this new HR-V. These are full LED taillights, and these are standard on every single model. You heard me right. This HR-V has full LED taillights, standard on every single model. A lot of luxury cars don't have taillights half as nice as this one right here. I really just like the overall design too. Then if we drop down to the lower area, this is the sport model that you're looking at now, so this is going to have the sportiest design of all of them. We do have that matte black plastic here. We also have some silver trim down at the bottom, and this is going to be the only HR-V that has the exposed exhaust outlet. Well, I'm going to continue some of my praises for the HR-V because they are including standard Honda sensing on all the models, and that's going to include all of their most advanced safety systems. So that's going to be forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, as well as adaptive cruise control with a traffic jam assistant, and that is included on every single HR-V. The only system that you can add as you go up the ring, if you go up for that EXL model that you see over there, that will have front and rear auto braking. Now, as far as your warranty information is concerned, we are looking at a 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty, which is the standard of fare for Honda. However, now, as you probably know, you haven't seen the interior of this all-new HR-V. That is what we're going to be doing next, so stay tuned for that.
All right, so let's go ahead and climb inside of this interior. Look at this. Again, I'm seeing a very similar characteristic to the exterior, and that's that this has a very unusually high level of maturity and sophistication to this design, especially for this category of vehicle. Now let's go ahead and just kind of look around at some of the features here, see what you're going to get. I've moved into the EXL. This is going to be, of course, the fully loaded trim level, so I'll be able to show you guys the maximum number of features and things that you could expect to see here with the HR-V. Now, first and foremost, of course, I would tell you about the key fob. Typical Honda key fob, nice small design. I think it's the same as in the Civic. We do have intelligent entry and remote start with the EXL trim level, at least. And I do also want to talk about, like I said, the overall cabin materials and things. Here at the EXL, very nicely finished cabin. We have a lot of leatherette materials, like all over the armrest here, with this kind of cool design, which gets kind of skinny right here where you grab your arm. It is going to be soft touch along the top. All the upper dash is finished in a nice soft touch plastic up through here. Then this section is finished in leatherette. And we have a very Civic-inspired interior, which is certainly a good thing because we love the interior of the Civic. It's not exactly the same, of course. It does have more versatility, but the design kind of shares the same motifs, like this vent that has the mesh insert that runs through it. Looks very nice. And again, we have the leatherette that runs all through this very cool shaped console, which I'll talk about in just a second. Now, in terms of the seats themselves, you're going to be looking at cloth seats for the LX and the Sport trim level. You'll get this leatherette seat with the EXL trim level. Nice stitching details on board. Obviously, I don't have any information about colors and stuff like that quite yet. Now, one of the big advances with this next generation of HR-V is that we have a big upgrade in terms of technology. One of those upgrades is right in front of me. That will be our gauge cluster. This is the 7-inch partially digital gauge cluster shared with the Civic. So it is going to be digital on this side. You can reconfigure the design. You can have additional information right there. And then this side with the speedometer, that is an analog setup. And coming back to the steering wheel, we do have the latest Honda design, nice leather wrapping, easy layout for the buttons, and the steering wheel itself will be manual tilt and telescoping. Now I want to turn over here and address the console because it does have a really, really unique design. I'll see if Mason can kind of reflect this, but basically we have this armrest portion. It kind of bleeds into this section here, which has our drive mode controller, our electronic parking brake, and our brake hold. And then underneath of that, we've got this pass-through. As you can see, I'm sticking my hand through it. So this is like a great place, like you could stick your phone or something like that. Then it comes up into the shifter, which is kind of elevated again. Then we have our cup holders that kind of reclines down. And then finally we end with a large wireless phone charging pad and a USB port back there. So really unique look. Oh, I'm also noticing we have another USB port right here as well, a USB Type-C. And you know, if HR-V is known for anything in the past, it really has been the level of versatility. So I'm super happy that Honda is really making this, is maximizing the versatility of this brand new interior to make sure you have plenty of space for whatever you need to put in here, your kids, cargo, coupon storage. You have enough space for anything that you're going to need. Of course, as you can see, we do have the traditional shifter here, not the push button style. And on this EXL trim level, at least, we do have the dual zone automatic climate control setup. We have heated seats here with this model. We did also notice earlier the Sport model as well did have heated seats, so that's a nice touch. Another tech upgrade is going to be this display. So you are going to have a 7-inch floating display, standard on LX and Sport. That's going to look similar to this, but this is the large 9-inch display that you get on just the EXL trim level. Obviously, that's going to give you a little bit more real estate. It is also going to open up some additional features. So both displays will have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but this one will have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. So that, of course, is a nice tech advantage that people are definitely going to want to have if you really prefer to put your phone on the wireless phone charger and just connect automatically. And then above here with the EXL, we do have the auto dimming mirror. And as you can see, we do also have a nice traditional sized sunroof. But with that, I'm going to wrap up the front of the interior. But like I said, versatility is a big focus for the HR-V. So I'm going to hand it off to Mason. He's going to show you guys the very important back seats and the cargo capacity.
So the HR-V has always been about practicality for your family and all your belongings to come along. And that is, of course, going to continue for this all-new model. Now, unfortunately, since this is just a studio look, I don't have the exact specs for the rear design and the legroom figures. That's just not available yet. However, I can provide the old figure for reference. 39 inches was the older HR-V. I don't really see any reason why this all-new model would be smaller. And just based on my own personal reference here, this seat is adjusted pretty much to Drew's driving position. I'm looking at 6 to 7 inches of rear legroom. My feet can slide up underneath the seat. So really, I don't think you're going to have any issues hauling anyone or anything back here in this HR-V. It's going to exceed your expectations, and this has always been one of the biggest options within the segment. Now, as far as the features, there really aren't very many. This is the fully loaded EXL. We have this little area. This is where vents would be. It does not appear to be offered on the HR-V. Down below that, this is where maybe heated seats would be, but that also does not appear to be offered on this EXL trim level. However, it also does not appear like we have a center armrest here in the middle. And let's go ahead and look at your door trim. I will say that with the door trim, you do have pretty nice materials. The top part is going to be a hard touch. However, the armrest portion is going to be a nice leatherette padded area, and you do have a bottle holder in the very bottom. All right, and let's go ahead and see how much stuff you can haul along with your family. So lifting up the lift gate, this is the fully loaded EXL, so I assume a power lift gate is not going to be available on this HR-V until maybe they add a higher end model than the EXL. But as far as the space itself is concerned back here, the HR-V, once again, has always been one of the largest offerings in the segment. That's going to continue for this all-new model. We're looking at 24.4 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row seats. If you fold those down, you're looking at 55.1 cubic feet of cargo capacity. If you're curious as to how that measures up to the previous generation, that is down 0.3 cubic feet. So you're not going to really notice the difference there. However, I do wish it was maybe a little bit larger. That said, there have been some improvements over the previous generation. You will notice that the seats do fold 60-40 split. And if you just reach up here and fold them down, you'll notice that improvement. The seat does fold completely flat, which is something that the older HR-V model did not do. And you know, if you're hauling something, you probably already know the benefit of having flat folding seats. Now, as far as other finishings down here, we do have some lighting on the side. We have a 12-volt power outlet. And then if we lift up the cargo floor, there's a little bit of storage and then a spare tire underneath. Now coming to your passenger seat, we do have a manually adjusting one. I really expected that it would be manually adjusting on all the models, and it does appear to be. I do want to point out there's a USB port here on the left side. I know the camera probably won't be able to see it, but there is a USB Type-C port. Then if we open up the glove box here, we're going to have a really good sized glove box. This is certainly big enough to fit our coupons in here. I sincerely apologize. We're on a very limited time frame. I can't go get our coupons. We did bring them to Detroit for this, but we don't have them with us right now. I promise you they'll fit in there, and we'll have that in our full review coming very soon.
Now, of course, no first look would be complete without talking about what is under the hood. And again, we're seeing some improvements for this all-new generation. We're switching to a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. This is shared with the Honda Civic, and it's making 158 horsepower, 138 pound-feet of torque, which is 17 horsepower more than the previous generation, which had the 1.8-liter 4-cylinder. In terms of the other aspects of the powertrain, you are having that paired to a continuously variable transmission, and you have the availability of front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive for all 3 trim levels. We do have a new independent suspension as well as stronger structure, which should help improve the driving dynamics, and I can also tell you about the fuel economy as well. So with the front-wheel drive model, we're looking at 26 city, 32 highway, 28 combined. With the all-wheel drive model, that's going to be rated at 25 city, 30 highway, 27 combined. That's actually going to be down just a touch from the previous generation, but it is still one of the best in the segment. Now, how much is this new generation of HR-V going to cost? Well, for the front-wheel drive versions of each trim level, it's going to be $23,650 for the LX. The Sport model is going to be $25,650, and the EXL front-wheel drive will sticker for $27,450. And last but certainly not least, you're probably wondering, when is this new version of the HR-V coming on sale? Well, it will be on sale in June, and that's also the time frame that we expect to be driving this new model. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel, because we can't wait to get our hands on it, do a full in-depth review, give you guys all the details, including, of course, a full test drive. So you won't want to miss that. Make sure you go down below and subscribe. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us for this studio tour of the all-new 2023 Honda HR-V. Like I said, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.